Hi everyone, this is Elizabeth from Organized Chaos, and today I wanted to show you how you can add some extra add-ons to your seating chart to make your seating chart work harder for you. So when you download my seating charts, and I'll have a link to that below, this is what you'll get when you open it up. And all of these things that I'm going to show you, you can do on any seating chart that you've created or found somewhere else, but I'm using mine as an example. So I have my seating charts in PowerPoint format because it's very easy to add text and images and put them exactly where you want them. So I'm going to find the one that I use for the majority of my classes, which I have color groups. They function as kind of small group teams, and I have I think the cap for our classes is technically 25, but usually they're 24. So I have 4 on each of 6 groups. And now I'm going to add some stuff to this seating chart. I already have, you'll see in each student box, I already have these little checklist squares. I use those to keep track of assessment data. So when I'm listening to students sing something in class, or they perform their composition or whatever it might be, I just keep track of everything here. And it's much easier for me to access without having to pull out a separate grade book or things like that. So that's one thing that you can do on any seating chart you might have to make your seating chart do more for you, is to add some little boxes where you can keep track of that stuff. But let me show you what I have added to my seating charts now. So in the seating charts, there is a folder called Seating Chart Add-ons. If you open that up, you will find a bunch of image files, and each one is a different image that you can add to your seating chart to do different things. So for example, this one is just a box for you to keep notes in. If you want a certain spot, it's just easier for your eyes to look. You can add that. I'm just going to click and drag right onto the screen, and there's my box. And I can turn it, and I can resize it. I could probably make it a little bit narrower so that it will fit on the top. I can also, here's another tip, this whole page here is one giant picture, essentially. So you could move this over if you want to have more space for things like this. You can also resize this, so you could make the whole thing smaller or bigger, depending on how much space you want around the seating chart itself. So here's a box for notes. Another thing that you can add, if you have a clip chart or a magnet board or anything to keep track of the class's behavior to move towards an incentive, then you might find this useful. I use a magnet board that where the classes move up the keys of the piano. So I have one with 3 octaves, which is what I use, and then I have another image that's just 1 octave. So if you have a keyboard that's a different length that you use, you could use that smaller one. But I'm going to go ahead and take the full 3 octave version here. I did this on my seating charts last year, and I didn't end up using it this year because I decided I just wasn't doing a good job keeping track of it. However, if you want to, um, you can write on here or put a paper clip so that you can keep track of where they are depending on how you use your seating charts. But I was just marking a small circle to show which piano key they were on, so that if my magnets got knocked off or I was trying to reference where the class was from home or something like that, it was easier for me to find that information on the seating chart. And again, you can make these images fit whatever you need so that it will fit in that space. I'm sorry, I keep making this huge. Some of the other things that I have that you might find helpful, I always include a key, and that's the key for these assessment boxes, so that when I write a little plus or a check or whatever for their grade, I know what it was that I was grading them on. So I'm going to take this out to make a little room. And I'm going to add, so there's one with 6 boxes and one with 8, because depending on the seating chart and how many students are on there, my seating charts have either 6 or 8 per student. So this one has 8, which is the same as the number of boxes per student that I have on this chart. And I'm going to flip it over. I'm flipping these because I look at it horizontally. This is the front of my classroom, so I always have it on my clipboard horizontally, if that makes sense. So in this key, I'll write myself a little note. So if for this first box, if that was singing Sol Mi with hand signs, then I'll write the date, September 8th, Sol Mi singing. And then I can reference what the grade was for when I'm looking at it later. So that's another thing that you can use. A few other things you can use. So this is a blank one. If you needed to keep track of some other data, I have a few tables that if you need to keep track of data separately, or a checklist of something that you do with each class. And then, of course, you can handwrite these in, but just to make life a little bit easier, you can't see that on the black background. Here's a place so that you can label the class, the days that they come, so especially if you teach them on a rotation, or even if you're on a Monday through Friday schedule, so you can write down which days each class comes. And then if you want, you could also write down the times. This is helpful if you provide seating charts for your substitute teachers in a folder or a subtub or whatever you have for your substitutes. You can include this information on the seating chart to make it a lot easier for them to find the ones that they need. So I'm just going to select, if I can, all of them. There we go. And then shrink them down a little bit smaller and turn them all sideways. And I'm going to shrink this over a little bit too. And I'm going to write down the class, the days that I see them, and the times. I hope you found these examples helpful as you look at making your seating charts work harder for you. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel or my blog to stay up to date on the latest ideas and resources that I have available. Thank you. Bye.